However, let's go on to stranger things. Well, not that strange. Connor Tomlinson joins me. Hello.
You're saying I'm so strange, Nick. I'm utterly heartbroken.
well, I don't think you're that. I don't think you're that strange. Anyway,
Oh,
look,
you sound just like my mum.
she paid me. Now look, Connor is head of research at the British Conservation Alliance, and more importantly, a political commentator. Because I brought him in to talk about this. Right? Who's heard of Wilko's? Right, the store. Right, I've been in there. Go in there. They just have very dodgy bags that you carry away stuff in.
The red plastic ones, I always remember. They just stockpile in your cupboard, don't they?
They're just, yeah. Anyway, I've always had trouble with the bags, never what's in the
Share
product.
prices just went
I know,
plummeted for
there you
Wilko.
go. So, here you go. I'm going to read this little bit out because this is what happened. Wilko are sorry for saying staff could work with COVID. Now, retail chain Wilko essentially put out a note to their, I think it's 20,000 staff they've got actually, for miscommunication, which means, they need to just fess up. They basically said, if you have no symptoms, as I understand it, and you're feeling all right, and you've got COVID, come to work. Okay? And everyone went, you can't do that. You'll be infecting the world. You'll be infecting people at work. You'll be infecting customers. And they rode back immediately, changed their plan. So I thought, okay, what is the government advice, actually? And the government advice is actually pretty useless, but it essentially says it's kind of up to your employer and discuss with your employer what your policy should be. Now, we need to learn to live with COVID, right? I asked someone in a pub last week, I've been on holiday, and I said, if you had COVID, right, would you go out? No. I said, what, would you go for a walk? Yeah, they'd go for a walk. I said, well, would you sit at a table here with me and have a drink? And he said, no, definitely wouldn't do that. It'd be putting people at risk. And I was thinking, I think I probably would. And I know I'll get huge criticism of this. I think I probably would, but I'd be sensible. And yeah, 3 out of the 4 people on that table when I said that said, no, that's completely wrong because you don't know who you're going to infect and what it might mean. Where do you stand on this?
Well, I was going to say exactly the same as you. I'm shocked that we're not going to have a battle on this, Nick, or disappointed.
Okay, I'll take the other view and then we'll have a battle.
Play devil's advocate, that's fine. I don't understand, though, how these people would know if they've got COVID in the first place. Because if you remember, the sky was falling as soon as they scrapped the free tests, and everyone was saying, well, we can't pay for them. How are we meant to know? So presumably not everyone's testing.
And therefore they are going out and doing exactly.
Well, exactly. Who in that pub probably had COVID? If it's still spreading around, apparently Scotland's just hit new peak case rates.
Yes, and they've done very well, haven't they? Because they're obviously keeping in place the masks that have worked so well.
Which obviously worked, yes. Well, this is the thing that people complaining about all the way through the pandemic is, okay, you've got countries in Europe, particularly Germany, who mandated N95 masks, the medical grade masks, and they, at various points during the pandemic, even with less population density in some of their cities than London, had higher COVID case rates. So it's clear that the masks themselves don't do an awful lot. We wish they did. It would be fantastic if they could slow transmission, but considering it comes in peaks and troughs, very predictably, doesn't seem like they do a major amount in stopping transmission.
No, my understanding is that there is this one mask that, for example, my daughter uses, she's a doctor, that actually protects you and protects other people. But these are these ones that are clamped to your mouth and used in very strict conditions, not the masks that I see being used that are either everything from a handkerchief just sitting below your mouth or actually just not even on properly in the way we use them.
The best one I saw today, 2 old women walking down an alleyway out the
elderly
supermarket.
Women.
Yes,
elderly,
yes,
I'll have young whippersnapper.
There we go, of course, yes. Don't worry, I feel it after 2 years of lockdown. And she had a mask on, but it was pulled down beneath her chin and she was smoking a cigarette as she was walking along. I don't think that's protecting your lungs.
No, I've seen better where actually someone pulled the mask down to cough.
That's gold. One of the best ones I actually saw was someone swimming in the sea on their own with a mask on.
Having said that, Connor, so today, coming into London, okay, and I've just come from a country where you had to wear the mask in certain conditions, right? And I walking through here, I was surprised how many people were wearing masks, either on the train, in the station, coming into this building. A lot of people are still wearing masks. Now, I refuse to believe that they haven't worked out you don't have to, so they are making a choice to do it. I've got no problem with that, because whether there's COVID or not, if you want to go around wearing a mask, okay, good luck to you. Part of me, though, wonders, is that a sign of the power of, if you like, indoctrination over 2 years.
Absolutely, it's the power of propaganda. We saw this with Laura Dodsworth's book State of Fear. It exposed through the Sage Minutes how they use psychological warfare tactics to condition you into compliance, because they thought if we raise your level of relative risk beyond that which is necessary, you'll comply with the public health edicts. And you saw on Sage, Susan Michie, chief communist of course, said masks and social distancing should stay in place forever. So it's clearly a behavioural conditioning
I should say
technique.
that Susan Michie's role is not as chief communist. That is an interpretation.
Close enough.
Now, look, get back to Wilko.
Yes.
So, I know that most employers have a policy in place where they've decided if someone tests for COVID, they have asked them not to come in the office. Perfectly reasonable for them to do that if they wish to do that. Again, it's a free country, they can actually do it. What however, what is actually, let me put it to you this way. Why should a company like Wilko that deals in the retail, the public are going in and out, aren't they being a bit reckless saying, if you've got COVID and you know you've got COVID, come in? I mean, these people could be shopping, stacking shelves, chatting to some elderly lady who might be very vulnerable. So aren't they wrong to have actually said you can come into work?
Well, two things. First of all, if we believe in here, as we are, of course, mandated to say by Ofcom, that the vaccine works, etc., and it's saved plenty of people who are elderly and vulnerable, which hospitalisation seems to bear out.
Which I agree with entirely, yes. Not because we're obliged to say.
I know, I'm winding you up. If we believe that, then why would you be worried if you're...
Because not everyone's vaccinated.
Well, then that's their personal choice, and they may favour natural immunity and they may not wish to be, and they can take that risk into their own hands. That's totally fine. But again, the vaccine doesn't stop transmission, so we've got the best we can at the moment, right? Also, do Wilko have this policy for the cold, the flu, any other various transmissible diseases? I don't think they do. And I think Wilko actually has made a financial gamble here, because if you look at during the pandemic, they closed 15 stores, so they're possibly starting to see we can't afford to have this many staff off and paying you for doing nothing, because we're feeling the squeeze.
Well, part of their problem is they've actually lost a lot of staff, and like everyone has lost quite a lot of staff, but they did lose a lot of staff, I think, which has compounded their problem, and I suspect was what was behind saying, come into work, because we can't do any business without it. Connor, I'm being told off for keeping you talking too long. I know it's... Look, James Whale is allowed to run his show how he wants. Why am I not allowed to run this show?
I think they just want me off the air.
I just think it's wrong, isn't it? I mean, he's the man, he's the business. I'm carrying on. What are you going to do about it? Are you going to sling me off air? No. Let's have some rebellion in here. Huh? Connor, you can stay as long as you like. Oh, hang on.
Take a break and stop messing around, or else. Just do it.
Love you too, James.
Ladies and gentlemen, Connor Tomlinson,
Pleasure,
who's been with us, is now leaving us, and I'm going to take a break.